what kind of problems do you meet with finding the data, collecting the data, and can you identify a profile of regions most advanced, and can you explain why they are in this situation?
Yeah, well, as it was explained in the presentation, there's not much data available so far on circular economy at a territorial level from Eurostat. What we have is a monitoring framework that has been created quite recently that basically works on previously existing indicators to build this monitoring framework, and then recombines information and data to that aim. So we basically had, and we, by the way, the circular project ran in parallel to that process. So we didn't have even this monitoring framework set already when we started. And what we found is that there's a great scarcity of data, also because the circular economy had not been very well structured and conceptualized before. So it was very challenging. So in the end, we worked with these basic indicators available from Eurostat, and we downscaled those indicators, material consumption of various types of materials, and also waste production, waste streams and waste categories, and we regionalized the data. So we found that the material indicators had some limitations because they were not designed initially to track these processes, circularity, degrees of secondary materials on the final material consumption, these kind of things. So it was challenging from that perspective, but the indicators as such were well defined, the data was reliable, and so forth. But with waste indicators, the story is totally different. These indicators on waste are being produced essentially as a self-reporting process that local and regional administrations or waste operators report to national statistical offices, and those report to Eurostat. So that process of reporting data is totally connected with the data, with the waste management processes that they are being through. So essentially what they are reporting is the data based on what the waste streams they collect and sort for recycling. So for example, you have data on recycling, which is based on that. It's based on how much waste you recover, sort, and separate or pre-treat for recycling. But then if you go to the, you think about how much of that waste that can be potentially recycled is actually recycled, then you realize that it's totally different. But most, or a big share of that waste is actually exported. But the statistic tells that we are recycling, and we are already, most regions are already complying with the targets. So there is a huge gap here between data on waste management, the data quality, and also the waste management that needs to be think about. And the message for local actors and regions would be to try to understand better what is happening with the waste they are sorting for recycling once it's already allocated to some operator, because they might be surprised on what is going on with that. And the message for Eurostat and national statistical offices would be try to collect data on the amount of waste that is being actually recycled, the amount of materials that are being actually recovered, not so much on how much waste is being sorted for.
Thank you very much, Carlos. I'm sure we will probably come back to this kind of issues and mismatch and misunderstanding about what's happening in waste collection and management, and especially the impact of that for local authorities later on in the debate, and maybe with your questions. But no, I would like to welcome Lucas, please. you can have your glass of water first if you want. Just to let me say that you're associate director for VVA Economics and Policy in Brussels. You specialize in collaborative and circular economy. You're currently leading a lot of projects for European Commission and European institutions, and you're also working for ESPON as the lead manager for this sharing project that you will present and share with us the result right now. Thank you, Lucas.